first time that I saw anything similar to b-boying was on TV. And then physically being there to see it done was first by my cousins up in the Bronx. And then I started seeing guys doing these corkscrew kind of spins and then going on the floor doing a sweep and then popping up. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's it. I gotta learn that, man. That's cool.
The first time I ever saw something that intrigued me in a way where I felt like I had to live this was in a place called 1130 Anderson Avenue. It's where I lived. Every weekend, I remember they'd play a lot of music out of a particular person's apartment, and people would get together and they would form a circle and they would battle. Now, of course, not understanding at age 7, 8 what a battle is, but I was able to visually understand that one person was mocking another. And at that time, they were doing a lot of, Bronx rocking is what we called, which was to do gestures to humiliate the other one, like grab the head, cut it, shake it up, throw it, cock the gun, and shoot it. And I remember like it was yesterday, we're in a circle watching. Now, mind you, at this time I'm just watching. There's a gentleman that jumped up in the air and went down to a pose, which now we call a freeze, of course. But everybody was completely mesmerized by it, especially me as a little boy. And it was that instant that I remember for me of when breaking, b-boying started.
My first experience with watching breaking, b-boying, happened in 1976. It was my brother, Robert Colon, and he was actually in front of my house with Africa Islam of the Zulu Nation. I was 9 years old. I was looking at him and thinking, why is my brother throwing himself on the floor and embarrassing my family? My cousin comes to me a year later and tells me, yo, Rich, you gotta come with me to the jam. I'm like, what? The jam, man. Yo, we going off, they're rocking, people are breaking, got MCs, DJs, playing beats and blah, 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 all this stuff. It's not like I could think about, okay, wow, this is hip hop. No, because the word didn't exist like that yet, by definition. And I just fell in love with this environment. I was like, wow. It was the first time I ever wanted to dance without being afraid of humiliation or insecurity or shyness. That's when I felt like I was really born, when, just like witnessing breaking.
It
started in the Bronx and part of Harlem.
It started in Freeze's house.
Oh, shut up!
His mom used to break. She's 180 years old.
Let me talk about my mother now.
Well, yeah, Billy, go. Mom used to spin on her head
about my mother.
The term b-boy, from what I know, from my perspective and what I lived, originates from the word, from the saying Bronx boy. And then eventually it became the break boys and break girls and things like that. So it originated from being called the Bronx boy.
Brooklyn style was more top rocking, more Apache line, top rock, the rock. And then the Bronx was more get down on the floor, b-boying.
We always called it b-boying. I also knew it as rocking. People in Manhattan used to call b-boying rocking. The word breaking came from the music. You guys used to break, we used to break because the music we heard made us reach this breaking point. The music drove us so crazy and we felt so amazing that it made us break.
That's not to say that versions of rocking, dancing on top, didn't exist in other boroughs. I'll give props where props are due, but when it comes to what we consider the b-boy style, it's definitely the Bronx.
Watch me now. Feel the groove. And there's something gonna make you move.
We came from very aggressive surroundings. We were raised in the Bronx, and
We were poor. We had very little to look forward to in life. It is what gave us life. It's what gave us the opportunity to have social gatherings and build bridges between different cultures, different communities.
Initially, it was a way of us to calm the static that was prevalent in the streets of New York at the time.
This new dance form that was born a few years ago, I didn't know that I needed it in my life. I just wanted to be competitive, practice, get some props.
We were the kids who wanted to have a good time. We saw a lot of our friends and a lot of big brothers and cousins go get incarcerated, get hooked on smack, and we were like, nah, we don't want this. The killing's got to stop. That's when Bambaataa, Flash, and all the rest got together, and all the different crews from the Bronx, and kind of united into this one family of hip-hop, you know?
They here, rocking it.
what happened in the 70s was very interesting because the dance itself was developing. You know, everything was very pure and organic.
We kind of took what we saw and we kind of like played with it and added a few more gymnastic moves and more acrobatic moves. The other inspiration was Kung Fu movies. Like every Saturday we go to 40 Doo-Wop, 42nd Street in Times Square, and we spend all day watching 6, 7 Kung Fu movies.
Sometimes we would imitate how they fought and kind of utilize those methods in the way we moved without dancing, but with a different kind of rhythm. And then there's also the idea of being Puerto Rican and utilizing the dance steps from salsa, mambo, and things like that that have a direct influence on us because we are Puerto Rican, Dominican, Cuban, whatever. So the moves come from many different places, many different backgrounds. Some gangsters, some churchgoers, you know?
We were a part of the second generation, I guess you could say, of B-boys. So all the other guys, the old guys, we looked up to them, we emulated them to a T. And then we go back into the basements of our friends' houses or into the hallways or the lobbies of the projects and just start practicing there. And that's how we formed crews. And then we formed local crews in our neighborhood, like the Young City Boys, the Da Boys, Salso Brothers.
The Mexican crew, the Seven Deadly Sins, Rockwell Association, the TBB, the Incredible Crew, the Suicide Crew. Every crew had a little chapter of B-boys in it. It was just incredible at the time. Everyone had different shirts, you all knew who was who.